and before we can get airborne or go anywhere near the aircraft, it's coffee, laptop, pre-flight planning. So this started the night before, but again, morning before the flight, recheck the weather, recheck the route, just make sure that we're familiar with the situational awareness around the aerodrome, go through the flight log and the flight briefing, make sure understand how much fuel needs to be on board, that we're comfortable with the route, go through the airport charts as well, so the airport information, make sure we know taxi procedures, where we'll be parked on the ramp, and any other NOTAMs that we need to be aware of for today's flight. Interestingly, that both Lanzarote Airport and Fuerteventura Airport have restrictions on run-up and the direction the aircraft should be pointed in if you're going to do a run-up. But also, NOTAMs for today said that across the island there were going to be swarms of uncontrolled aircraft, anything from surface up to 100 plus meters. Okay, so I won't have too much preamble for you to sit through. We are starting out in the Canary Islands today. So the last flight was the final flight of the FS Academy Navigator series. It was the bush flight in the Scottish Highlands, and we finished the sequence of legs at Oban. I am going to crack on now with completing the pre-flight inspections and then get onto the pre-flight checklist and get airborne. So let me just quick run through of what we're going to be doing. So all of my pronunciations are going to be poor, so I apologize now. We are sat on the ramp at Cessna Enroute Lanzarote, and we will be flying the first leg of this Voyager flight into Fuerteventura. In total, the entire Voyager bush trip would be about 3.5–4 hours, but I don't want to do that all in one flight. We're going to break it up. So we're going to do the first, say, 55 minutes flight or hour flight block time from where we are, Lanzarote to Fuerteventura. So let me crack on with completing the checklist. So we've done the pre-flight checklist, done the walk around of the aircraft, inspected everything, and all is in good order. Need to remove the pitot covers, and there we go. So need to get the battery on, and going to need, I think it's, we need avionics bus 2, so we can turn on, there we go, ADF, and get the wheel chocks removed, the pitot cover removed, tie downs removed, and the cowl plugs removed. Check. Check. Okay, so then avionics can come back off. Power can come back off. Okay, so pitot tube cover is removed. Pilot's operating handbook, we are looking at it. That's where the checklist is. Airplane weight and balance, let's check that. So I think that the fuel in the briefing was that we would need to get 103 pounds of fuel for the entire flight. I'm going to put 105 in, so let's just check what we have, because state saving is on, and currently it's down to 69, so that's how we landed. So let's get that up to, there you go, 104 pounds, good to go. Let's get our VRS, or VSR, sorry, which reminds me, let me just do a quick alt tab and connect to that sim. We're going to connect as an observer so that you don't have to incorporate the mental burden of communicating with ATC, but you can at least get that situational awareness by listening in. So that is done. Check. Let's move it. completely out of the way. Right, just pin it to the, there we go. Okay, done. Now, take the toolbar down. Okay, so let's get back to checklist. Okay, so airplane weight and balance checked, parking brake is set, control wheel lock is removed, ignition switch is off, avionics master switches are both off. Check. So you can now turn on the master switch, check the fuel. Fuel state looks good. Low fuel annunciator for left and right are extinguished. Avionics master come on. Let's do 1. Heard the avionics fan come on. Turn 1 back off. See if we can hear the one in the back for bus 2. Just about. And then turn it back off. Okay. Static air pressure source is pushed in the off position. Let's test annunciators. And they extinguish. They enunciate, not extinguish. There we go. And release the extinguish. So check. Fuel valve both. Check. Fuel shutoff is in the on pushed in position. Flaps extended. Check. Okay. Pitot heat. Turn that on. We will simulate we've just got back out the aircraft, touched it, within 30 seconds warm to the hand. Pitot heat off. Master switch can now come back off. Set elevator trim for takeoff. Just about to drop my stylus. Can I catch it? Can I catch it? Can I save it? There you go. Set for takeoff. Need to just move. There we go. Better. Okay, so let's say takeoff trim set. Let me just make sure moving the throttle quadrant slightly hasn't taken it out of frame. Has slightly. So let's adjust. Sorted. Okay. So takeoff trim, elevator trim is set, package door is checked that it is locked with the key, and again check again the static air source is in. We don't have no autopilot static source. So the rudder gust lock is removed, tail tie down is removed, control surfaces checked. Free and correct. Trim tab checked, antennas are checked. Checks the right wing, aileron and flaps, and again confirm that the tie down is removed. Same with the left, we checked those, but the main wheel tie we checked. Fuel tank sumps we did our simulated test of draining some fuel and checking for impurities. Checked the fuel quantity and replaced the fuel filler cap. Same for the nose, we used the strainer on the quick drain valve and checked the fuel for impurities. Checked engine oil, the dipstick, replaced the filler cap. We had to ensure we had more than 5 quarts. I think we've got 7 quarts. Engine cooling, air inlets were clear of obstructions. We checked the propeller and the spinner and the air filters. Nose wheel strut and tyre. We checked left static source opening. We checked for blockages. And again, as I said, left wing, we checked the fuel quantity, replaced the fuel filler cap, we checked the tank sump quick drain, checked the fuel that came out for impurities, and we checked the main wheel tyres, checked the leading edge on the left wing, tie down, landing and taxi lights were checked, aileron and flaps were checked, so that's the pre-flight inspection was complete. So, passenger briefing. We will be departing runway 03 as we taxi out. If there are any adverse indications on any of the engine instrumentation, we'll return back to the ramp. Whilst taxiing out during the initial roll as we're heading to V1, again, if there are any adverse warnings on the instrumentation, we will reject the takeoff, exit nearest taxiway, and return back to the ramp. If at any point there's any engine fire or electrical fire, we will again reject the takeoff. If it is safe to, we'll exit the runway nearest taxiway, but we will fuel mixture go to cut off and throttles fully open, but we will turn the nose of the aircraft away from the wind, so tail into the wind, to ensure that any smoke or fumes are blown away from the cabin and will make a safe evacuation. No passengers on board today, so that passenger briefing is a mental check for myself. En route, it's going to be VFR all the way. We do have the flight booked into the nav log, but we're going to take off, turn left or right. I'll double check the log before we do the taxi out. But we'll do a bit of a circuit of the northern tip of Lanzarote before returning south again to overfly the airport, and then turn west and fly along the coast all the way, tracking the coast, cross the body of water between Lanzarote and Fuerteventura before we then head south down the coast of Fuerteventura. You need to ensure that as we're approaching the airport, the closest town there, we can't overfly it, so going to need to fly down the coast and avoid overflying the town. So as I said, it should be a nice simple flight. 50 minutes block time, 55 minutes block time. Trip time is actually 47 minutes, but the fuel on board, so that's the flight. Checked, actually, let me just fill in my log with those details. So actual fuel on board, we have 105 pounds. Time, we'll do a check. We're scheduled to be out 1200 Zulu on an off time of 12:20. We should then be back on at 12:47 Zulu. And if we get through the rest of these tests or checks, we should be able to stay on schedule. So that's the briefing done. Seats and seat belts are adjusted and locked. I'm going to do the same with my headset. Brakes we will test. Don't have animation of the brakes rocking forward, so we'll test that on our before we do the run up. Circuit breakers are all in. Electrical equipment is all off. Let's just make sure that's back off. Okay, electrical equipment is all off. Avionics master switches are off. Fuel selector valve checked on both. Fuel shutoff is checked pushed in. Avionics circuit breakers are in. That's the before start check done. Okay, so I haven't been able to start this aircraft first time yet, so fingers crossed I get it done this time. So throttle open it to 1/4 of an inch. So let's go fully open first. Bring it back to in there, about 1/4 of an inch. Mixture idle cutoff. Clear prop. Make sure that there is nobody on the ramp around us. Master switch can now come on. Okay, there we go. Turn on the beacon to warn anybody in the vicinity that we will be starting the engine. Okay, auxiliary fuel pump comes on. Mixture to full rich. Watch for fuel flow. Done yet, so let's move the throttle forward just a little bit more. Bit more. Bit more. Slightly more. There we go. Fuel flow. And then the fuel pump can come off. Okay. Set the mixture back to idle cutoff. So, okay, let's see. Let's see. Fingers crossed. No. Come on. Still can't get this thing started first time. There we go. Oh, almost. Okay, I still need to figure that out and get that done properly. Mixture can now go to full forward. So, constructive criticism, welcome. Any Cessna 172 pilots or virtual pilots, feel free, comment, just, you know, your expertise, your experience, your tips. What is it that I'm just completely getting wrong? I need to keep practicing it, but I need to make sure that I'm not flooding the engine or fouling the engine, fouling the spark plugs, I should say, teeth. But yeah, I haven't yet got it to turn over and start first time, so definitely an area of development. But anyway, we have engine started, so mixture fully forward, full rich. We have good fuel flow, exhaust gas temperatures are good, oil pressures and temps are good, vacuum's good. Amps, we don't have positive charging, so let's turn on the alternator. There we go. Positive amps, battery charging. Okay, so let's oil pressure check. Navigation lights, let's turn them on. Avionics master switches can come on. Radios can come on. Let's set mixture for taxiing, idling, not just burning all our fuel off. Okay, there we go. We'll wait for the GPS to warm up and initialize. We won't be using it other than a visual reference. It's all VFR today. You can just look out. Visibility is unlimited, so we won't need it other than just to use it as a safety net. We can now retract the flaps. So let's check. Okay, lateral CDI. Well, it would be half left, but we're in the southern hemisphere. It's half right. The flag is out of view. CDI vertical, half up. So good to go. Check our messages. It's going to say set course 080. So let's set our heading 080. That's going to be our initial track. There you go, 080, set. Still acquiring satellites, so we'll let it continue doing that for now. So radios are on, flaps can be retracted. Check. Okay. Cool. Let's just check where we are. Filming up. Done. Okay, so let's get digital CDI on here. Check. And top down view. Check. Okay. So parking brake is set. Let's get the radios tuned in, shall we? I said radios are set, radios are just on. Okay, I'm just looking down at my electric flight bag. Just looking at the airport charts. 80s is 118625. Okay, put that on COM 1.
Lanzarote Airport Information India 1100 Zulu. Wind 053 at 6. Visibility 6. Sky condition, ceiling 2,000 feet broken. Temperature 20. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.18. ILS Zulu runway 03 in use. Landing and departing runway 03. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have India.
Okay. Just get that one more time.
Lanzarote Airport Information Juliet 1100 Zulu. Wind 053 at 6. Visibility 6. Sky condition, ceiling 2,000 feet broken. Temperature 20. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.18. ILS Zulu runway 03 in use. Landing and departing runway 03. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Juliet.
Okay, well that changed. Whilst we were listening to it, changed from
Juliet 1100
India to Juliet.
Wind 053 at 6. Flight condition, ceiling 2,000 feet broken. Temperature, 20. Dew point, 10. Altimeter tree 0.18.
Okay, so let's
ILS
get
Zulu runway 03 in use.
Unicom
Landing and departing runway 03.
tuned.
VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back halt short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Juliet.
And put that now as the active. Okay, cool, excellent. Let's then get tower. Okay, so let's put Unicom. Unicom is on 2, so let's get monitor 2. Let's leave the ATIS on standby on 1. So let's tune. Tower, which is 121.8. Okay. Let's check to see. Yeah, there's no ATC online, so it's all Unicom. Okay, cool. So that's radio's now set. Let's set I wrote it down. What did I write down? QNH 3018. Which is, that's not QNH, that's barometric. Set 3018 and 3018. Set. Check compass. Check. Okay. Let's crack on. So now radios are set. Passenger seat backs are in the most upright position. Seats and seat belts checked to secure. Cabin doors are locked and secured. Flight controls. Check once more. Free and correct. Good, good, good. Fuel quantity is good. Mixture is gonna go to full rich. Fuel valves are selected at both. So let's taxi out. Let's get to the run-up area. Just checking the airport chart. I would have this up on the screen, but I don't want it to take over the screen. So we are currently sat general aviation ramp. Need to point the nose, I think it's to the north. So we'll just move off the ramp. So let's release the parking brake, turn on transponder, but leave it in, not in altitude reporting. We're not going to get above 3,000 feet. In actual fact, need to ensure we don't bust up out of class Delta into controlled airspace, so we need to stay below 2,000 feet. Let's just check the chart again. Let's not do that from memory. Yep, so mustn't get above 3,500, but initially we want to stay below 1,500. Okie dokes. So parking brake is off. Check brakes. Check. We will just do our run up here. Parking brake set. Okay. So mixture can go to full rich. Throttles to 1,800 RPM. Magneto left, checking the RPM drop, nominal right. Okay, the variance wasn't beyond acceptable, so it's quite nominal. It's okay. Magneto's back to both. Vacuum gauge checked, amps are charging, oil pressures and temps are in the green. So let's turn on taxi lights. We put on landing lights. Radio to navigation. Instruments are good. Autopilot NA. Elevator trim set to takeoff. Wings let's set flaps to 10 degrees for takeoff. Actually, let's wait until we're about to cross into the runway threshold. Okay, cool. So let's lean out the mixture again a bit, just for the taxi out. We will now taxi runway 03. So we'll call Lanzarote traffic, Golf Bravo Echo Lima Victor, taxiing runway 03. via Romeo. Okay. Parking brake. Off. Keep an eye out for other aircraft maneuvering. Turn on our strobe. Okay, there's another aircraft on the taxiway. They're lining up. Okay, let's put Unicom on Com 1. We'll stay out of their jet wash. Okay, there's also see traffic on final. So let's go mixture full rich. Fuel valves are selected on both. All circuit breakers are in. Okay, so there's a GA aircraft. It's lined up. That other aircraft doesn't seem to care. And then we have two aircraft on final. So we're going to hold short. Lanzarote traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima, Victor, holding short, runway 03. So that aircraft's going to do a go around, which is good because there's another aircraft taking off, but they didn't call their intentions, so they weren't able to factor that in. Okay, hold short here. So let's just check again. Parking brake off. We're holding the brakes at the moment. Flight controls checked. Fuel quantities checked. Mixture is fuel rich. Fuel selector valves are checked at both. Annunciator panel is clear. Voltage is low just because we're at low RPM at the moment. Strobe lights on. Radios and avionics is set. Now we'll set flaps 10. Set last aircraft on final. Okay. we will be flying an initial track 087, then 036, 004, 222, 196, 229, 190 into Fuerteventura. Lanzarote traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor lining up, runway 03 for VFR departure to the northeast. Okay, that general aviation aircraft is just sat there, that's why. Someone spawned in, but they're just not active. So I think they're going to disappear when we get closer, so yeah. Okay. We'll go around because they're not really there. I'm going to have to edit this out of the video because it looks like we're being completely and utterly irresponsible. But look, engine's not running, they've just spawned in and they're sat there. Okay, so line up center line. Advanced throttle. Keep an eye on the engine gauges. Airspeed is active. 60 knots. Rotate. Positive rate of climb. 11:33 is our off time. Okay. 200 feet. feet, flaps up. We're going to do a left turn in the pattern to avoid overflying the city and then take our track of 087. .800 feet. $1,000, 1,100. Let's level off here for now. Lanzarote traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor. Downwind runway 03, 1,200 feet. Intent to leave the circuit off base, heading 087. At least we're advising other traffic in the circuit what we're doing. Wait till we cross perpendicular to the runway threshold. Make sure we don't climb up into controlled airspace. Okay, so now we can make our left turn to 087. Lanzarote traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor, turning left, heading 087, 1,300 feet. Okay, now ultimately we are just going to follow the coast. That's it really. That's as complex as this flight is. We've got the plan in the G530, but we don't really need it. It's all visual, and we are just going to track the coast now until we get to the northern tip of Lanzarote. So let's bring the mixture back a bit. Lanzarote traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor, exiting the circuit, 1,400 feet, 2 miles east. That's it. We're going to stay below 1,500 feet. Till we're out of the aerodrome's airspace. But yeah, so we're heading, that's, can't pronounce it, but Arrecife. It's our first visual reference point. And then from here it's about 9 miles, 12 minutes to Charco de Payo. Again, I just butchered that pronunciation. Well, we're just going to take in visually this northern cape, the tip of Lanzarote, and then we're going to come back south, overfly Fuerteventura again, and then depart and head out. Sorry, overfly the airport, not Fuerteventura, and then we will head out and depart en route for Fuerteventura. Engine's working a bit at 2,400 RPM. See if we can bring that back a bit. Increase the mixture a bit. There we go. 2,200. Air's a bit thinner. Okay, so it's 11:40. Probably got about 6 minutes left before we get to that northern tip, but we're just following the coast. You can now get up to about 2,900, 2,800 feet, or all the way up to 3,000. Just can't go above 3,500 yet. Actually, we now can, possibly, but we're going to stay at as low as we can, so we can take in the scenery. Look at that. That's the whole point in VFR, being able to see the ground. Completely different colour palette to the Scottish Highlands. Keeping an eye on the engine gauges. Exhaust gas temperature is a bit high. Bring the throttle back and trim for the climb. Done it again. Altitude reporting, forgot to put that on. You just see our shadow tracking the coast. (2,200 feet). (2,400 feet). Now we're going to just turn left a little onto track 004. Head to the northern tip of Lanzarote, which we can see. Visibility is so good. You can see with those mountains why we need to be above 3,000 feet as we track back south. Time 11:45, so we're still ahead of schedule because we got off early. Let's make a note of that. We got off about 11:35. Just about 25 minutes ahead of schedule. Okay, coming up on 2,900 feet. $3,000. So let's level off here. Oh. An updraft. A very strong updraft. Volcano there to our left. Need to look up and see whether it's actually a volcano, if that's just what Microsoft Flight Simulator thinks it is, and whether it's active, dormant. Okay, exhaust gas temperatures are much better now. They were almost redlining, if not redlining, on that climb. Wasn't very comfortable about that. Just constantly scanning the 6-pack, making sure it correlates with what I expect to see. It's just that engine start. I want to get to the point where I can get it to turn over and fire up first time. Still getting used to the Honeywell Bravo rather than it being mouse inputs to control the throttle, mixture, propeller, pitch, which we don't use in the Cessna, but along with these point controls, having the Honeywell does make this a much more tactile and immersive experience, and allows me to do things like use left hand whilst using right hand and manipulate two controls in game, which isn't possible when doing it by mouse. So everything improves experience, just need to improve the performance. So we're coming up now on our left turn. We're at the tip of Lanzarote. So now we're going to make a left turn to 222 for 10 miles. So standard rate turn. But again, it's just easy to visually keep track. Let's open the turn up. We want to make sure we've got enough clearance as we come back south. I'm just going to cross. So yeah, I need to find out Google Earth whether what we see as craters or what look like volcanoes visually are actually volcanoes. Got what? 1, 2, or whether it's just potentially 3, whether it's just the way that flight simulator is rendering them. There's another one there. They all look like what were active volcanoes. So again, just as we cross over the terrain, updrafts, need to be wary of the downdrafts if we end up on the leeward side. Great scenery. So now we're going to head back to the airport. We need to make sure that as we cross over land and head towards the airport, that we don't overfly the city just northeast of the airport. So we're going to make sure we track left out over the ocean. So we've made our turn, so it should be about 10 minutes to Caleta di Famara. Which is there, just off the nose. Traffic 1 o'clock high. Time 11:52, so should be there in about 7 minutes. Probably made about 2 minutes, 2.5 of that already, so possibly around, oh, I was waiting for that. 11:55, well 11:57 we should cross overhead. Making sure we maintain enough clearance as we cross over all of this terrain for moments like that. The airport briefing charts and notes mentioned having to be wary of what appears as wind shear this side of the island. And true to form, here it is. It's not so much shear, but we're definitely having to deal with crosswinds, up and down drafts. Okay, so there, that's our visual reference point, just there, over the nose, or just there, if you can see it out the side window. Famara. Time's 11:54, so we'll call it 11:55, almost 11:56, which means that we should be back at the airport 1200 to 11:55. Yeah, so top of the hour we should be back at the airport. So there we go. So now it's a left turn to about 200 degrees. But yeah, completely different colours to what we've had in the last flight. Interesting topography. Is that an old runway down there? Or is it just... It looks like it has all the markings and layout of what could have been an old runway. Again, I have to look that up. But yeah, look at those rusty browns. patchwork quilt. Okay, so again, all the gauges look good. It's an en route reference point to make sure we're on track, but the island's so small, really can't get lost. Or not with visibility as clear as this, I should say. Maintaining altitude is proving to be a challenge though with the shifting winds. I'm not sure what that red marking is. On the side of that hill, don't know. Okay, so there's the airport off the nose. I said the city was northwest or north of the airport. I meant south, and that's what it's just there. Need to make sure we don't overfly it as we now turn south. And here we are. So now we're leaving Lanzarote. En route for Isla de Lobos, which is just there, off at our 10 o'clock now. That's our stepping stone between Lanzarote and Fuerteventura. So what I'm thinking about now is need to be conscious of our glide range in the event we have an engine out now. So hence tracking the coast rather than making a direct line. Need to consider that the distance between coast shore to shore I think is about 3-4 nautical miles. So is it 1.1 mile, 1.5 miles every 1,000 feet? So at 3,200 feet, I need to check my maths on that, so comment below. So at 3,200 feet, we have about 4.5 miles glide range. So if I get up to about 3,500 before we attempt to make this crossing. In fact, visibility is good enough, we can get up to 4,000. Okay, as soon as I ask for climb power, you see that exhaust gas temperatures go straight up towards the red line. So let's bring the throttles back a bit, keep it below it, don't want to stress the engine. Just got to be conscious of temperatures in this part of the world. So it's 12:06. Crossing is going to be about 6.5 minutes. So 1212 we should be overhead. So 3,400. We have no restrictions on our altitude anymore. We're outside the controlled airspace of the airport or aerodrome, so we've just cleared it. You can see just there. So 3,500. $600, 700, okay, so we can level off here because where we are now we have altitude in the bank. We can glide if we have an engine out. I don't want to stress the engine anymore. Gonna pull up the ATIS frequency for Fuerteventura so we can get that in standby. One 18650. Okay, get that. And let's listen out for that.
Fuerteventura Airport Information Uniform 1200 Zulu. Wind 048 at 7. Visibility 6. Sky condition. Few clouds at 2,700 feet, ceiling 5,000 feet broken. Temperature 21. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.15. ILS X-ray runway 01 in use. Landing and departing runway 01. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have uniform.
That's a uniform.
Fuerteventura Airport Information Victor 1200 Zulu. Wind 049er at 7. Visibility 6. Sky condition. Few clouds at 2,700 feet, ceiling 5,000 feet broken. Temperature 21. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.16. ILS X-ray runway 01 in use. Landing and departing runway 01. VFR
Traffic
aircraft
crossing
say
our
direction
nose.
of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Victor.
Okay, Victor just changed. Changed on us again. Okay, so traffic. So we need to keep an eye out for traffic. So we now have about 6 minutes. So our next reference point is about 3 minutes. Track 190. So about 12:15. It's 12:11 at the moment. And then after that we'll turn, or we should see Fuerteventura on the nose, about 3.5 miles. sorry, about 10 miles, 3 to 4 minutes. So it's about 20 nautical miles to go. So we can start thinking about landing checklist. So fuel selectors on both. Fuel shuts off is pushed in. All circuit breakers are in. Make sure we'll leave it as it is at the moment. Gauges are all in the green. Right now I'm just going to follow the coasting. Literally about 10 minutes we should be heading in to the ramp, or at least 10 minutes we should be overhead in the circuit. So runway 01, so I'm going to set that on heading bag. Not as much to see. City across at our 3 o'clock. Town, we're just overflying now. Should actually start to see the airport. Or the navigation lights of traffic. Had taxi light on, didn't need that on. Don't need landing lights on at the moment. We'll put them back on in a sec as we do our approach checks. That town just there up ahead is going to be our next reference point as we track along the coast. And there you can just see it. There's the runway up ahead. So visually we can now start get situational awareness on our approach. So what we'll do is we'll just enter overhead. We could enter into the circuit downwind and then just turn base and final. Don't hear any other traffic, don't see any other traffic. Fuerteventura traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima, Victor, 10 miles to the north. Okay, so I can make out some strobe lights, runway threshold, traffic just breaking through the haze, going to cross our nose left to right. So we'll definitely enter overhead, make our call, enter the circuit, downwind, See traffic taxiing on apron. So again, so we'll just get ourselves situated, take in visuals. We'll descend, we're at 3,000 feet, we'll descend down, enter the circuit. Fuerteventura traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor, entering the circuit, downwind, runway 01. Okay, so mixture full rich, fuel valve selected to both, fuel shutoff valve is in, landing lights come on, circuit breakers are all in, gauges are all in the green. We will take 10 degrees of flaps. Set to traffic on final and approach by the looks of it. Still no calls on Unicom. Let's monitor the tower. One 1.7. Okay. Flaps, check. Fuel valves, check. Shut off valve, check. Mixture, check. Lights, check. Circuit breakers, check. Gauges, check. 2,000 feet. So we can use that road as a visual reference for our final approach fix. We'll turn base before we overfly that town or city, so we'll cut in between or dissect them and then follow the road in on our final approach fix. Fuerteventura traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor, turning base runway 01. So we're going to do a base onto final turn pretty much. Take full flaps. Fuerteventura traffic, Golf Bravo, Echo Lima Victor, turning right final runway 01 for a full stop landing. Okay. Flaps check, gear is down and locked, it's fixed. Tricycle, mixture check, fuel valves checked, fuel shut off checked, circuit breakers checked. Okay, spotting our landing point. Checking we've got rudder authority. Very long runway threshold. Okay, so eyes glued to the threshold. I can see the PAPI on glide path now. Apply some power, don't want to land short. Okay. Flare. Engines to idle. We are down. Okay, so we will exit first taxiway. Taxi lights on. We have to head up there for the general aviation parking. I'll just check. Oops, over our left shoulder, we lied. I need rudder pedals. I'm using my my Fanatec V3 pedals, so the throttle and the clutch, so it doesn't really have that single axis control. Lean out the engine for taxiing. Don't want to foul the spark plugs. Set that runway as expeditiously as possible. So our on time 12:23. Fuerteventura traffic, Golf Bravo Echo Lima Victor, exiting runway 01, taxiing to the ramp on Tango 4. Look out for other maneuvering traffic. Flaps up. Landing lights can come off. There's another aircraft on final. Touchdown. You can turn off our altitude reporting. Okay, so the general aviation apron is just there to our right. Got an eye strain headache coming on. Okay, so the next right. Okay, there's our ground. Marshall. Strobe lights can come off. Inch forward, and parking brake on. We are here. Okay, so let's go. Throttles fully open. And then mixture to idle cut off. And throttles closed. Okay, like so. Let's do our shut. So okay, fill in the flight log. So on was 12:23. And in 12:31. Okay, so parking brake is set, electrical equipment can come off. So first we will set, let's check engine, oops, so I just knock the camera. Okay. Okay, so we have, so engine health is 98%, we have 6.2 quarts of oil, so we are going to want to add oil. Okay, so oil levels now going up to 7.7 quarts. Wheel chocks in place, pitot cover on, tie downs on, and cowl plugs in. Okay, so now that can come off. Radios can come off. Transponder can come off. Nav lights can come off. Taxi lights can come off. Beacon can come off. Ignition can come off. Avionics bus 2 off. Bus 1 off. Alternator off. Battery off. And that's flight 1 of the Canary's bush trip done. Again, as I said, I know there were so many parts of that were a bit wonky, clunky, so feel free to comment in the comments the things you spotted of, okay, so next flight, remember, A, altitude reporting crossing the runway threshold as we, not threshold, crossing taxiway onto the runway. Equally, and I think that was it, really, wasn't it? That was the major altitude reporting. Yeah, altitude reporting. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next